All right, Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys. It is our Major League Baseball update presented by our friends at Happy Hill Restaurant. Ian Castleberry, how you doing on this beautiful Monday, buddy?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well. How about you?
Hey, I can't complain. Of course, there's still time left in the day. Give me time, but we'll figure it out. We got a lot to get to. Starting first with Joey Votto, the Reds' first baseman, testing positive for COVID at spring training. What's his status moving forward, Ian?
Well, he isolated for 2 weeks, so he's got that over with. He's back in camp now. So he was cleared by Major League Baseball. He's still on the injured list while he gets back into game shape. So opening day is about 10 days away. If you ask players how long they need to get ready for the season, they'll usually say about 2 weeks. So Joey Votto, depending on what he was doing while he was in isolation due to COVID, should be ready for the season. A friend of mine actually covers the Reds, and he was saying that the biggest problem Votto might be facing, of course, is timing at the plate. Last year he batted .226, a bad batting average year for him, even though he hit 11 home runs. He really came on in September, but this will be, Eugenio Suarez is moving back to shortstop. That's the sixth starting shortstop Votto is going to deal with in as many seasons. And I think that upheaval has affected Votto's defense at first base. He had a pretty bad season defensively. So I think not getting the reps in spring training that he would have had he not come down with COVID might be a problem, something to keep an eye on going into this 2021 season.
All right, we will certainly do that. And all right, now let's go from Cincinnati to Kansas City. The Royals, you have a deep history there. George Brett, Hal McRae, Dan Quisenberry, the list goes on and on. But only this player, Ian, has signed the largest contract in Royals history. Who's that?
Catcher Salvador Perez, who might be the face of the team. As you mentioned, this is the richest contract in Royals history. Of course, George Brett and Willie Wilson, Bo Jackson, those guys played. Their heyday was before the really, really big money came into baseball. So this surpasses Alex Gordon's 4-year, $72 million deal for the Royals. Perez is 31 years old, 4 years, $82 million. I think this is an insane deal for the Royals. Not to say that Perez isn't worth signing to an extension, but at 31 years old, playing catcher, his body has broken down. He's had Tommy John surgery on his right elbow. Granted for a catcher, not a pitcher. He missed time in 2018 with a torn ligament in his knee. You just wonder I think this is a thank you for your service, a lifetime achievement contract from the Royals to Salvador Perez. Through most of his career, especially the first 8 years of his career, he was woefully underpaid for as productive as he was both at the plate and behind the plate as a catcher. So I think the Royals are kind of making up for that now. You wonder how productive he's going to be at the end of this contract, if he's even going to be able to be a catcher. But he had a career year at the plate, batted .333, 11 home runs. And even, catchers are measured a little bit differently now than they have been in years past. In the past, you looked at a catcher and say, okay, can he throw out base stealers? Can he block pitches in the dirt? Now the emphasis is on pitch framing. Can he steal strikes out of balls that are just off the strike zone, especially that low pitch? If you watch baseball, you see players now, catchers, they'll be on one knee, and you think, well, they're not going to block pitches that way. But the emphasis is getting low in the strike zone, catching that low strike or low ball and getting it back up into the strike zone to get that low strike. And Salvador Perez really improved in that area. So I guess the Royals see him as an asset that can continue to provide value for them. But, boy, I don't know if it's going to happen over 4 years.
Yeah, I saw that he was 31, and it kind of reminds me of like when Bill and I were going over the Pujols contract when that Albert signed that 10-year deal with the Angels, and I was thinking the same thing. I said he was grossly underpaid by the Cardinals during that 10-year run. So to me, this is just, I was okay with that contract. Of course, we all know how that played out in 10 years ago or in 10 years since. But, I applaud the Royals. I don't know what it is about Missouri teams, but they seem to appreciate the players that have done well for them. And but, yeah, I saw that 31 a catcher and a 4-year, $82 million deal. That was a bit of an eye-opener as well. Ian Castleberry plays with the Wise Guys Mondays talking baseball. And, of course, you can also follow Ian's work on Facebook by liking The Comeback and Awful Announcing, and go to their websites, thecomeback.com, awfulannouncing.com. And it does radio hits around the country as well. And he keeps busy. It's great to have Ian with us. And all right, Ian, last week we wanted to get to your breakdown of the American League Central, but there wasn't going to be enough time. We've got time today, then we'll get your breakdown of the AL West. Let's start first. The Royals are in the AL Central Division, and so are your Tigers. How do you think this division's going to play out?
The White Sox are going to be the trendy pick, the sexy pick. Signed the best closer on the market, Liam Hendricks. They reacquired Adam Eaton. They're going to have Tony La Russa as their manager, that's going to be a curiosity in itself. But there's going to be a pattern to most of my division picks here in that I think the Twins still have the better starting pitching. Kenta Maeda, Jose Barrios, Michael Pineda, they signed J.A. Happ. And I think between their rotation and the bullpen and an offense that can be explosive, maybe not as explosive as the White Sox with reigning AL MVP Jose Abreu, but I think the Twins are going to edge out the White Sox in the AL Central, which kind of goes against the trendy pick. I like the White Sox last year, but I think I really like what the Twins did this offseason. So Twins 1, White Sox 2. I think the Indians are going to slot in at third. You can't lose your best player in Francisco Lindor and still expect to contend for a division title. Maybe a wild card based on their pitching. They still have Shane Bieber, Zach Plesac, the COVID-19 knuckleheads coming back. He is a good pitcher, even though you don't want medical advice from this guy. I think the pitching for the Indians will keep them in wild card contention. Then fourth place, I like Salvador Perez's Kansas City Royals. They made quite a few improvements. At one point, they looked to be the only AL Central team that seemed to be interested in improving. They got Andrew Benintendi from the Red Sox. I think a change of scenery will really revive him. They signed Carlos Santana and Michael Taylor, Mike Minor, the former Atlanta Braves pitcher. And they're taking a chance on their bullpen, bringing back kind of a reunion, kind of bring back the old guys. Wade Davis, Greg Holland from Woodfin, Brad Brock. So if those guys pitch to their capabilities and don't show their age, maybe the Royals can challenge for third place with the Indians. And then holding down the basement, my Detroit Tigers. This is the Tigers are in the midst of, I don't even know how many years it is now, their 10-year rebuild. I don't know where they are in that. They're going to have some exciting young players to eventually call up. Spencer Torkelson, last year's #1 overall draft pick. Casey Mize has really struggled in spring training, though. I think we'll see him. And he's going to be a young arm to keep an eye on. But spring training showed he has a lot to improve on. Again, a rebuilding year for the Tigers, so they're going to be in last place.
Wow, dude, I almost pulled up my new age music just to kind of put some chill music behind you, just to keep you from going, Ma, here we go again, Ma. The team's going to be in last place. But, of course, a lot of folks will be watching Cabrera as well as he tries to hone in on 3,000 hits and 500 career home runs in 2021. Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys, of course, presented by Happy Hill Restaurant, joining us via the DC Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines. All right, Ian, the American League West, always a tough division. Those teams are tough out. The Astros continue to hold court, though.
Yeah, and I think that this is a really tough division for me to pick because I want to say the Astros are going to win this division. They lost George Springer, but they have Kyle Tucker in there to replace him in right field. Their pitching is a little bit of a question mark with Justin Verlander out for the season, but they still have Zach Greinke. If Lance McCullers returns strong, Jose Urquidy is one of their top young pitchers. I think their lineup, Carlos Correa, he's going to be a free agent after the season. I think the Astros are going to work harder to keep him than they did George Springer because they don't have a ready replacement. Correa is probably going to have a monster season, but I still think, despite that lineup, I think the Oakland Athletics pitching is going to be better in their starting rotation, in their bullpen. Even though they lost Liam Hendricks, they signed Trevor Rosenthal. They have Jake Diekman, Sergio Romo still getting it done. Yasmero Petit. that rotation with the Athletics led by Chris Bassett and Jesus Luzardo, I think that is going to give them the edge over the Astros in the AL West. And in third, I think the Los Angeles Angels and poor Mike Trout, who's the best player in baseball, yet can't sniff the playoffs. One of the most intriguing players in baseball is Shohei Ohtani as a hitter and a pitcher. He's been very impressive as a pitcher in spring training. So will we see him as a two-way player? The Mariners might be able to challenge the Los Angeles Angels for third place. They have some young talent in the outfield. Reigning Rookie of the Year, Kyle Lewis. Jared Kelenic could be 2 straight Rookies of the Year for the Mariners, but I don't think they have the pitching. And then in last place, the Texas Rangers, who have finally acknowledged the inevitable and are fully rebuilding. It's going to be a rough season in Arlington in that brand new stadium, which they barely got to play in last season. But yeah, I think the Texas Rangers are going to be last. So I like the A's in the AL West.
All right. And there you have it. Ian likes the A's in the AL West, and he does like the Minnesota Twinkies in the American League Central. Then starting next week, Ian, we'll go out west once again. We'll stay out there for the National League West and your breakdown there. Always appreciate you, Ian, and have a great rest of the day.
Pat, thank you so much.
Always. You got it. Thank you, man. Ian Castleberry. Great work he does. He's such a talented guy. And Ian's appearance talking Major League Baseball is presented by Happy Hill Restaurant.